Welcome aboard for another video.
Thanks, Conductor Keith. So the purpose of today's video is to review this Piko 25-tonner locomotive with radio control and sound. As you will come to see, I'm recording this introduction after the fact because this came as a Union Pacific locomotive. So in addition to a detailed review of this locomotive and my thoughts on it, some of its operating quirks and things I discovered, also I repaint it step by step very quickly through this video. You'll see how I did that in case it might give you some of your own modeling ideas. First, a little prototype history. General Electric made this locomotive between 1938 and 1974. The locomotive came equipped with a 150 horsepower Cummins diesel engine that powered one axle with a traction motor. So it's a diesel electric. Initial models were operated with side rod, but after that, a chain drive between the frames. The model also came in narrow gauge, so my friend Dave in Scotland would love it if Piko came out with this in 32mm gauge, hint, hint. When you look at these giant General Electric locomotives we have here now, like, the 4,400 horsepower things that ride the rails all over North America and other parts of the world, this is the first General Electric diesel electric locomotive, 1938. So this is sort of the grandpa of all these modern GE engines. I found a quirk with the sound unit of this locomotive which irritated me. But then, as I played with it a little more, I discovered a workaround. So you'll discover that workaround too as you watch through this video. So keep watching and remember to comment. I always answer all comments. Share. It's important to share this video so we can help encourage our love of trains. Like and subscribe. Thank you. And what is this that has just arrived? Piko. Union Pacific General Electric 25-ton loco. According to Piko, these Katy couplers just drop in. So I can tell you it was well and carefully packaged. Here's the instruction book. Here's the fob that comes with it that operates it. Apparently it does contain a battery. Here's some stuff that I haven't looked at the manual yet, but I imagine make a key ring out of. Very colorful. Here's some add-on bits and some more add-on bits. The locomotive is not very heavy. It's very light. But it has 4 traction tires, and of course 4 because you don't need any of the wheels for power pickup. Now, as a rule, I'm not a fan of traction tires, so we'll see how that goes. The online write-up also says there's room in the cab for a figure. Well, maybe so, but I think you'd have to cut the figure in half. Nevertheless, I'll put something in there. I'm not going to put the extra parts on right now. In fact, I'm going to be taking off most of the parts. And that's because I'll be repainting this for my fictional Pencross Railway of Eastern Ontario. Oh look, an LED light and another LED light. Putting the Katy couplers on was easy and brilliant. This locomotive comes with a simple adapter to mount them. Now the reason why you see them shaking around is because I do switching moves, and I do some switching moves on a curve, and lately I've been taking the springs, centering springs, out of my couplers. I've seen real switching in tight spaces on prototype railways where, crew kicks over the coupler so that it will align. I want to do that, and it works really well. So if I'm backing to pick up a car on a curve, I can just, with my finger, kick over the coupler, and it'll couple up, no problem, without having to hold it, and because it's centering. The battery system and setup is fairly foolproof. You take this off, and there's a little button you press there. It partly clicks out. You grab this handle and pull, and there you go. And it's so foolproof, it's got a red arrow telling you how to put it back. This locomotive takes AAA batteries. Now I'm going to use rechargeable. At least this adds a bit of weight. So let's try turning the engine on. Oh. Oh, that's a nice sound. Now, I don't know if this is mated with it yet because you have to set channels, but we'll see. Ooh. Okay, now let's check out. Ooh, directional light works. I like how just before the locomotive is set to move, you hear the air brakes release. So far, the electronic system in this has impressed me. It's smaller and much lighter than my fictional, but probable, Mammoth Bolton locomotive. Both are RC with sound. While this video is a first look and review of this locomotive, I let it run too long, I guess, and it just turned itself off. Well, that's cool. Will it turn itself back on? Yes. Okay, I really like the sound system. While this is an unboxing and review of this 25-ton General Electric locomotive, my next video following this one will be a comparison of these two back to back. I'm going to compare everything, cost, the whole 9 yards, and give you my thoughts. You can click, 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 or apparently you can hold, and we'll do it. Oh yeah. So let's see what my first thoughts are like. All right, so let's see if we can take it in forward. Huh. I checked, and the coupler heights are correct on the locomotive, just not correct on this rail car. Another weird quirk is it has some brake squeal that's a little too late. Well, that's irritating. Nowhere in any of the documentation does it tell me how to stop the brake squeal. That's fairly smooth. Here on my unfinished railway. This fob is not as bad to use as I thought it would be. I'm used to something like that. In the cab roof there you see a speaker and that little button. I don't know if I can show you, but see that black little button? So you press it and it goes off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Off. I'm gonna leave it on 3, not quite as loud. And while I am not generally a fan of traction tires, they seem to be working well here because, of course, the thing's really light. And another benefit of onboard battery power is it lacks the little collector, track collecting plates or whatever you call them, and wipers that you normally see right in there between each wheel. So it's a little more realistic that way. Oh, and I just noticed the black painted wheel sides. That's a nice touch. For those of you who are not going to repaint it like me, I have to say, though, the painting is really well applied. It's really nice. It's nice and crisp. Now I've decided I'm going to repaint the locomotive. I'm going to have to take images of the inside to figure out where all this goes exactly, because I have to take it all out, so I'm only left with 2 pieces of the body shell. Some of the glue holding these window pieces on presented quite the challenge. I'm not entirely sure why you need that much glue. Honest to goodness, just a little dab will do ya. So far, so good. I've chosen this guy to go in the locomotive, but I have to cut his legs off, and honestly, I feel like a Civil War battlefield doctor. So our driver is installed. I graphically designed my logo for Pencross Railway of Eastern Ontario, ordered them from Sticker U, and I'm going to put it on the sides here. You can just see where the paint for Union Pacific is still in there. That'll be covered up. And now I'm putting all the various accessories back on. It looks pretty handsome. I dug through my pile of old dry transfer sheets and I've picked the number 4 because this is the 4th locomotive I've decorated for the Pencross Railway. Now, in order to seal in these dry transfer numbers, I'm going to use this clear lacquer, only just a thin bit over top. You won't notice it, and it'll seal them in for good. So that is a handsome engine. And the guy in the cab doesn't look too bad under normal viewing, except from up here, looks a bit weird. Might have to do something with that. So I figured out how to get rid of the brake squeal. So if I go forward, we'll say, and then I'll come back to stop. I cycle through it to reverse, then forward, and reverse and forward again. If I joggle it back and forth a couple of times, it avoids the brake squeal, which I like. Anyway, just listen to that. What an awesome little engine.
Oh, Henry, look what's coming down the track, a new locomotive. I know what you mean, Marge, I know what you mean. It's a very exciting day here on the Pencross Railway.
And of course, here's the Friar in his new favorite train watching location. There's lots of room on the timber bridge. Lord Michael, the chairman of the Pencross Railway of Eastern Ontario, does approve of this locomotive. So if he's happy, I'm happy. So what do I think? Well, after all that, I love this locomotive. I love the sound of it. A bit quirky with the brake squeal, but I found a workaround for that. It only houses 6 AAA batteries there in the hood, and it turns out that that's plenty of power. According to what I read about this engine, you can expect up to 4 hours use out of those batteries. These are 1100 milliamp rechargeables. Now the batteries, of course, don't come with the locomotive. I love the directional lighting. I love the fact there's an easy way to mount Katy couplers. I wish all trains in large scales came with an easy way to mount Katy couplers. Like my AccuCraft rail cars, yeah, easy. You can body mount, you can truck mount. A lot of makers in the larger scales don't give you the option or an easy way to body mount couplers, which irritates me to no end. I wish they all did. I think this is a game changer kind of engine. It's the kind of engine that, comes with sound. In the modern era with good batteries and RC and stuff, we don't need to be powering rails anymore, especially if we're outdoors. We have to clean it and clean it and clean it. I think that going forward, I should be able to get any North American diesel type locomotive, or European if you're in Europe, or UK, that is battery RC and with sound as an option. It's definitely the way of the future. It's the way to go. Yeah, the cab guy, I had to cut his legs off, but I can live with that. It's not so bad. The speaker in there is hard to hide. I think what they did essentially was they took an existing electric engine, by electric I mean with the little wipers here and stuff that goes on powered track. They added sound to it after the fact, so what they've done is shoehorned in where the speaker will be and things like that. Under the circumstances, not bad. It'd be interesting to see what they would have come up with had this been designed from the very ground up as a radio-controlled sound locomotive. It's got lots of nice, crisp detailing all around it. It's even got, I don't know if you can see, it's maybe difficult, but you can feel it. There's little bolt pattern, non-skiddy stuff here. Given I'm used to controls like this one, with a dial, I was really unsure how I was going to feel about this little fob thing. You have to press up for forward, down for reverse. The down for reverse also slows the forward. Bit of getting used to, but only a few minutes really. 14 speed steps apparently up. You can also press and hold it, which I never did. I used the click, click, click speed steps. Turns out I really like this. It's easy in the hand. It's easy to lose probably too. Knowing me. Piko's onto a good thing with this little controller. This little controller will actually control every single General Electric 22-tonner radio control engine they have, but underneath here, there's a way to change the channel. Same thing with the locomotive, so you can pair it, and that means that you can operate a number of these independently. Including shipping and taxes, I paid about $600 Canadian for this, which is $400 American. 350 British pounds, 360 British pounds. I forgot to mention that I did load up a pile of rail cars with this to see its pulling power. I think there was about 9 large-scale rail cars, and it didn't have any difficulty. So in the next video where I compare this to my Mammoth Bolton, we're going to have a haulage test. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful.